So let's start over here.
Sure.
We'll give you 30 to 45 seconds to pitch your company. This is the only opportunity for a commercial. Ready? Go.
All right. So thanks for coming, everybody. The ConnectWise platform is built around making it easy for you to organize your business and efficiently support your clients. We address all the touch points that you have with your clients, from the sales and marketing through the support, all the way through ultimately in the billing. And our goal is to make it as efficient as possible for you to do that through automation.
All right. Thank you. That was good. Concise. That was good.
Thank you, Brian. So at Kaseya, we're the pioneers in the RMM space, but over the last probably 3 or 4 years, we've built out a platform called IT Complete, which addresses every single component that an MSP needs to be successful. So obviously that contains RMM, it contains PSA, it now has backup, it has security, and we also focus on a lot of automation and creating efficiencies for MSPs for them to be successful.
I'm just here for the beer. That's it.
Wait, where is it? Is it on the stage
I know,
somewhere?
exactly.
I'm looking for
There's
it.
no beer. Obviously, Datto is a legacy backup disaster recovery company. We've been doing it for about 10 years now, channel-only organization. Most recently, about almost coming up to a year ago now, we acquired Autotask, which of course is a big PSA and RMM player in the space, and that's kind of where we're spending our ongoing development. From an RMM perspective, I mean, there's a lot of great tools that are out there. There's some differentiators just based on certain companies that you want to work with. Ours is kind of, we were born in the cloud, but kind of everybody's in the cloud now anyway, so I think it's just ongoing partnership is what you want to look for, and I think that's probably where our strength is our community and our partnership.
Okay, awesome. So we're going to turn it over to our inquisitors here in a second, so brace yourselves for that. But I'm going to open it up with a very brief question, if it's all right with you guys. What is the number one reason that an MSP should use your services or your product? We'll start with you.
Number one reason?
Yeah, try to narrow it down.
Again, I'm going to go on the strength of our community. We're 100% channel only, 100% managed service providers only. We don't mess around with that. We specialize on small, medium businesses for our channel, and that's kind of where our strength and our forte is probably our community.
Okay.
I would say efficiency. With Kaseya, you get every tool that you need to be successful with your client, and have a complete portfolio of tool sets that you're going to need to increase your recurring revenue and ultimately make a lot more money.
For ConnectWise, I think a lot of it's about our ecosystem. Over 250 integrations to the products that you use to help support your clients. Especially from the RMM perspective, you want to be able to have the ability to plug into those tools, and you want to have choice. So we make that possible through the ConnectWise ecosystem.
Okay. So let's turn it over to our inquisitors. Rick, would you like to start, sir?
Sure.
Awesome.
Gentlemen, every PSA and RMM vendor, either through acquisition in the case of Datto or length of time in business in the case of Kaseya, is always trying to put together a single pane of glass, a dashboard that an MSP can live in, work on, and love. But we all know that every day we got to get better at what we do. So obviously you're looking to build something new, add something on, or acquire somebody. If you could go across and identify for us what you feel is that most important next thing that you want to add to your dashboard.
Yeah, I think that everybody will probably agree that it's around security. Clearly one of the most important topics that's in our industry right now. There are a lot of different tools out there that do a lot of different things, and I think that from that perspective, we need to figure out how we can bring enterprise-grade security products into the MSP space so they can be affordable and that they can also make money selling them. So from the ConnectWise perspective, we're always looking to see how we can figure out how to grow our ecosystem, whether it be through partnership or acquisition, and there's not a hotter topic out there right now than security.
So at Kaseya, we've made a lot of acquisitions lately. So, Unitrend's back doing backup back in, I guess that was May. We just announced Rapid Fire Tools and Spanning as well. So we feel like, between backup of SaaS, And now with rapid fire tools, security assessments, compliance, we've definitely rattled off, I think, a lot of great tool sets, and we're integrating now all of them. But I do believe that we probably have a couple more in us, and that will most likely revolve around security as well. I don't want to tip these two guys off too much to what our plans are, but most likely it will be in the security space.
It's a safe place here. You can tell us whatever you want. It's fine.
I kind of come from a different approach because we were a backup company. We were in the data protection space, and then we moved into and acquired the PSA RMM, whereas they're coming at it from the opposite side. So for me coming at it, I have no sacred cows when it comes to PSA and RMM. And I know for a fact, and I will argue with any MSP that's out there, you do not love your PSA or your RMM. Nobody loves them. Nobody loves them. So for us, it's yes, we're all doing, you love it? Love it?
Love it.
Because he
uses Kaseya.
Totally fair. Totally fair. You're an exception because these guys are
we
not.
love
These guys are
Kaseya, I
agreeing
have
with
to
me
say.
here. So I'm going to say that you don't love it. And for us at Datto, like our partners that use our BDRs love our BDRs. So if we've inherited this product that we want people to love, and I think for us it's more making it easier. Like you say, single pane of glass, we've got to make that even better. And it's sure, we're all investing, we're all acquiring, we're all adding new stacks to what it is that we're doing. And our roadmap around RMM, which I hope we get into, where we can talk about what the future of this is extensive. We're super excited about it. But for me right now, I want to make what we got better. I want to make it simpler, faster, sexier, so that you guys do actually start loving what it does.
If I could just have a quick add-on to that, AI guys, if you can get me a security product that's AI in mind and I can set it and forget it, I'm living large.
So this is where I was hoping we'd open up that conversation, if you want to go into it right now, because we're super excited about what we can take, where we can take this RMM. And you talk about AI and machine learning and stuff like that. That is the next step for what it is that we're doing. And I will share with my roadmap. We are in the process, like we use kind of the analogy of self-driving cars. Self-driving cars are out there right now, but do you trust it, right?
I'm from Detroit.
Yes. So you're in behind the wheel here. You've got the car. The car is set where you can actually do it. Now, how has that happened? It's happened because now we can GPS your route. You can geo-track you. The technology's there. It actually is doing all these measures and stuff. And when you look at cloud-based RMM technology like ours, what we're doing is we're scraping data not just from your site or your devices, it's everybody that is using this technology. So we're talking about millions of endpoints. And if you think about today, when you go to the doctor gets you, like say for a physical, doctor says, here are all the things that are wrong with you. This will lead to these problems in the future unless you do something about this. We have the ability to do that with technology today, but we're not doing that yet. So not only can we actually take a look at symptoms and give you, hey, this is going to lead to this, and give you those talking points to talk to your customer, but then you take it even one step further where we could actually self-heal this stuff. We can actually resolve this stuff based on what everybody else is doing with that technology. But again, like a self-driving car, you can turn it off or you can turn it on depending on how comfortable you are with it. I'm super excited. We're less than 12 months out before you're going to start seeing the AI and machine learning and RMM technology.
Yeah, the way I'll take that one is we've announced, I could say, something called RMM 2.0. Back in 2014, we actually acquired a company called Xeron. We made that into a product called Traverse, enhanced network monitoring, before everyone was talking about what enhanced network monitoring is or it does. We are now we are now revising our strategy around having two separate products in that space. We are incorporating and we're bringing Traverse into the traditional Kaseya VSA product, and we call it RMM 2.0. And now you can buy an agent for enhanced network monitoring at the same exact cost as you can buy for an endpoint. And we see this as revolutionary because it will provide you with the ability to manage all your endpoints, all your servers, all your network edge devices in one place. And then the next evolution of this is around self-service, right? So our MSPs will be able to have their clients go to a portal and be able to self-diagnose and remediate issues for themselves. I used to be an MSP. I understand the challenges of an MSP. Matter of fact, I think one of the things that makes me different probably than these two guys up here is that I've actually used all of these tools myself. And I know how important it is for an MSP to drive profit. That's becoming more and more difficult to do in the current environment. So our entire goal at Kaseya is how do we help our customers, how do we help our MSPs drive more profitable business? And by bringing RMM 2.0 in, by bringing self-service in, allowing customers to do the little nagging things that take up a lot of time and labor and effort on their own, it's going to free up a lot of time to do other things that will drive additional revenue. Guy, raised his hand when he said that he loved his MSP, and one of the things I have to do is I have to tip my hat off to Barone. I didn't know Barone before I worked at Kaseya, but they are one of the most successful MSPs by any measure in the country based on the automation that they've built into the way they do business, leveraging the tool set, but they've taken it to a whole other level, to the point where we have a lot, thousands of our Kaseya MSPs go to our automation exchange, and they seek out their technology, what they've done with the tool set. So I think automation, self-service, and RMM 2.0 for us is what we're really excited about.
Yeah, whenever you look at automation, it is about driving margin, right? So the more that you can automate, the better you can do that, the more you can assign your team to go take care of things that are maybe more important. And I think that AI is clearly the next step in that, right? And so on the ConnectWise roadmap, we've got very similar things to both of these gentlemen. We're looking at how can we make it easier for you to automate? How can we make it easier for artificial intelligence to understand that and then be proactive, right? Because that's what it's about. RMM is about being proactive. So we have a lot of that in our roadmap. And actually, we've got AI already built into the ConnectWise platform. We've got something we call it Scammer Hammer. It's kind of a cool thing for our remote control product. It identifies whenever there's malicious activity going on, and the AI will go delete those accounts. So it's a way that we're being proactive, making sure that we're protecting our partners, and leveraging the technology that's available to us right now.
Okay, awesome. So we're getting into the nitty-gritty here, but I want to dial it back. And I asked this to the last Thunderdome panel here, and it was kind of cool. So if you had to explain what you do to a 6-year-old, how would you explain it? Let's start with you.
All right, so my son is 2. So
oh, perfect.
Yeah, 6-year-old would probably get a little bit more. We simplify the way that you run your business. Plain and simple.
I have a 14-year-old that acts like a 6-year-old, so this will be pretty good. We help MSPs make money.
What he said.
Okay, I don't know if a 6-year-old knows what an MSP is, but
They will.
Eventually, hopefully. All right, so Philip, let's go to you. You got a question?
So with your tools, there comes an investment, obviously, not only of resources, but also time to implement those. My organization, speaking from a little bit earlier in the life cycle of an MSP, we're more on the earlier side of that. So some elements of all of your businesses and many of the products here have moved to truly a subscription basis, where others have still stuck to parts of their business being a long-term commitment, 36-month commitment. You pay off the initial purchase, but you still have maintenance on top of that. It's kind of the thing that drags behind you can never really get rid of. So I just want to know from the three of you, from a subscription standpoint, how do you view that being truly a as-a-service type product versus more of the legacy buy the product with maintenance agreements and all these things that you never really pay it off? But how do you approach that in your organizations?
It's it is interesting because it's this whole state of transformation that we're all actually going through right now, where we're all flipping, and you guys are doing it from an MSP perspective, where you're trying to sell your stuff on subscription, hopefully long-term contracts. So for us as vendors, by us giving it to you consumable in that way, you actually will take it that. I will backtrack, and I'll use my networking as an example. We acquired OpenMesh and got into the networking side not that long ago, access point switches and stuff. And first of all, we turned it channel only and only sell it to MSPs. We hide our prices, so there's no MSRP. You dictate your own margins, but then we're also billing you on a per month basis for it. which from a networking perspective, not only are you not used to, but your end users aren't used to. You buy it, you sell it to them, and then maybe they pay a maintenance contract for it, right? We're changing that where we're actually now selling the hardware for probably about half of what you would normally pay, but there's that per month fee for each access point and switch and everything like that. What that's done, and I've got a lot of pushback on that because you're not used to it in that business model. However, those that have adopted it and have basically added 300-400% margin to it, sold it to their end users on subscription are now going, this is a great idea. Why weren't we doing this before? So it is this whole kind of just slow adoption, not only from the channel perspective, but also from the MSP perspective or end user perspective. But I think what you'll see is all of us are moving in that direction. Value of recurring revenue for our businesses, for your businesses, is massive. So I think you will see those legacy vendors that are selling stuff where you're literally dragging it behind. They'll either evolve or die, because that won't be how you want to consume it. It's not how we want to sell it, and it's not how we're all going to make money at the end of the day.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, first of all, MSPs, when you look at the data from a pricing perspective, they're trending more and more towards per user pricing. So you need to be able, from a vendor standpoint, to adapt to that. The vast majority of the new bookings that come in for all of our products are subscription based, based on our SaaS product. But we have so many different products now. So certainly VSA, our RMM product, that is going more and more and more towards subscription, or what we call SaaS. And then BMS, our PSA, that's all subscription. Unitrends, for the most part, depending on who's buying it, is going to be subscription as well. And we actually have, Unitrends MSP here today, and they specifically, just have a product and a console for MSPs. And then rapid fire tools. A lot of MSPs use rapid fire tools. And we're now in the process of integrating all this and making sure that we'll have consistent pricing across the board. But one overarching philosophy that we have at Kaseya around pricing is that there's, above the line products and what we call below the line products. Above the line products are products that you generate revenue from. Below the line products are products that your customers don't know about, right? But you need to run an efficient business. A prime example would be PSA, right? So we're going to make sure that we are actually charging a lot less, than our competitors from a PSA perspective, so they can invest in the revenue generating technologies that will add, again, more top line revenue and ultimately more bottom line revenue to their business. And that's an overarching, pricing philosophy that we have at Kaseya.
That's good.
I agree with both the guys up here. I mean, I think that you're going to see subscription. That's going to be the way that the guys that want to stick around, that's the way they go. What the great thing about that is, with the no long-term contracts, that's going to force us to be better. That's going to force us to step our game up, because now we have to make sure that we're constantly delivering value to you, because at the end of the month, if you feel like it's not working for you, then you can easily go somewhere else. So I think it's a good thing for the industry, and that's the way all of us are moving.
Great, thank you.
Awesome. Guy, have a question?
So with all of the acquisitions and the different tools that you're all bringing into your bag of solutions that you're offering, what's the commitment for those that maybe are not going to switch to what you bought, the technology you bought, yet we're using a partner, we're using a solution. Let's say we have ConnectWise. We love Kaseya, okay, and we may or may not switch the ticketing system to Kaseya's solution. So what's the commitment on your end that as you are bringing in competitive products, that you're not going to close the door on the integrations between each other's products? Because many of us have started early on, not now. We're not all starting the business now.
That's a fantastic question, and I will tell you that it is one I know we have discussed it internally ad nauseum, and I'm absolutely sure that these guys have, and all the other competitors that we have that are not on this stage. It is a daily ongoing thing where we need to do what's best for the actual channel. We need to do what's best for you and your business. And if that means that you like the color blue for your BDR, but the color red for your PSA and the color green for your RMM, we have to work together, because as soon as one of us balks and goes, we're not doing this anymore, that will be anti-MSP. That'll be anti-channel. Not my stuff's better, come buy my stuff. That means literally you're going to use all my stuff or none of my stuff. Here's the beautiful part about what's happening right now in our space. Private equity businesses, and you're owned by private equity, we're owned by private equity, these are multi-billion-dollar organizations that are investing in channel-only organizations like ours. And they're giving us tons and tons of money to develop this. Why? They're doing it because the future of managed services is extremely bright. All of you guys that are MSPs should expect significant growth in the next 4 years according to all the trends that are out there right now. So when we're talking about things like open ecosystem, we have to do those things. And it's exactly what Brian said before, where we will have to be better in order for you to choose the solutions that you want. Do I want all of your business? Absolutely I do. But if my BDR is not as good as his BDR, I can't fight you on that. And for me to cut off integration, you're now going to move all of your stuff to his RMM and his PSA as well. And that defeats the complete purpose of what it is that we're all trying to do. So we're all waiting for each other to balk here and see which one actually goes to the closed ecosystem. But so far, we've been doing a great job at communicating with each other. I talk to Jim on a regular basis just to make sure that we have open lines of communication because we share a bunch of partners. And we want to keep that ConnectWise. Like, probably about 70% of the ConnectWise base is using a Datto BDR. I can't close that off at all. I can't. I don't want to. And that is where you're going to see all of us play together. DattoCon just happened. It was 1,600 MSPs, our user conference in Austin, Texas. These guys were sponsors at our conference. Unitrends was there. All the backup companies were there. We invite them in. ConnectWise does the same thing with IT Nation. We will play together because we know that as soon as we make that decision, it's anti-you. So at the end of this, what's happening? All the acquisitions that are happening here where we're putting together our stacks. We're integrating it better than ever before. We have more money to spend on it than ever before. We just literally hired an additional 100 engineers last week to actually work on PSA and RMM integrations and development. That's a great sign for you guys because we all want to get better at this, and we will get better at this. And we'll keep each other honest as far as that goes.
Yeah, I just got back from Europe. Last week we had our European Connect show, and Datto was there, represented. We are committed at Kaseya to staying an open platform and making sure that any technology provider that wants to share our vision of helping MSPs make more money, we will stay open with them, and we will make sure that integrations are kept up to date. So, I come back to that, helping MSPs make money, because whoever closes that down is in effect saying we care more about our business than we do about our community's business, than we care about our MSP's business. That's not what we're about. I can, say that with all degree of confidence. So, we look forward to continuing the partnerships that we have in the space. We see ourselves, quite honestly, as we look out over the landscape, developing more and more partnerships with companies that don't belong to us. But I will say this: Rob mentioned the fact that we are owned by private equity. I think the companies that are owned by private equity actually have an advantage in the space right now because they are able to invest in acquisitions, but they're also, based on that, able to invest in keeping those acquisitions and those companies open to the entire community.
So I think as you're looking to see more consolidation in the industry, you have to take this approach. Our CEO, Arnie Bellini, beginning of this year, personally reached out to the executives at all of our competitors to invite them to all of our events to participate in our ecosystem. So it's something that we're very passionate about. And at ConnectWise, we are about choice. We don't have a BDR solution that we compete with. We offer integrations to multiple different solutions. So it's about what works best for your business, and we want to make it so that you have that choice. What I'll say about the private equity stuff is, one of the things that we feel we're fortunate at ConnectWise is we're able to chart our own path. So we recently made an acquisition at the beginning of this year that private equity probably wouldn't have signed off on. We acquired HTG. Arlen's here today, one of the leaders in our industry. The reason we did that is because we wanted to make sure that we were taking a partner-first mentality. And I think that's an example of that. And we've learned a lot between what HTG brings to the table and what ConnectWise brings to the table about having that open ecosystem. So it's in the DNA of our company, and it's very, very important to keep doing it.
So do you guys disagree or agree with what he just said?
No, I don't disagree with him. HTG was a wonderful acquisition. It was phenomenal. I disagree that private equity wouldn't sign off on it. I don't know where you're getting that information from. And I will tell you that we have not been invited to Automation Nation. We're invited to IT Nation, not Automation Nation. I'm not even allowed to sponsor your roadshows either.
So we've got lots of different events. I think that we've invited people to the different IT Nation events that we have. The Automation Nation event is one where we do hands-on training. I think as the industry continues to grow and more vendors do more than one event a year, you'll see that those doors will continue to open up.
Yeah, I guess I'll disagree with charting your own path. I mean, yes, we're owned by private equity, but we call the shots. I mean, we know the space as executives at Kaseya. We know the companies that make sense for our MSPs, and then we get sign off, yes, because the private equity guys are signing the check. But they invested us in a reason. They invested in the management team for a reason because we understand the space and we know what we should be doing. We have another competitor in the space, that's in the crowd today. Dave Sobel from SolarWinds. I use their product, for many years, Enable, and it's good. They're about to go public. I think everyone knows that.
But you do now.
It's been Dave's about to be rich. I don't even know why he's here. But I think that ultimately we know they're owned by private equity. That's why I mentioned, and we've been able to do a lot of the things that as executives or executive teams that we want to do to help the community, and we have advantages because we have the resources to do that, and we don't have shackles on us in terms of not being able to chart our own path.
So let me double check. I'm going to come back. Let me double check that. So I've sponsored Automation Nation, your training conference. I've sponsored it for the last 5 years, and this year they said no. You're saying now I can come?
Yeah, let him respond to that.
Yeah, so I think that you have to have a strategy, and I'm certainly not the one making the calls on who does and doesn't sponsor our events. I think that, again, we have multiple events throughout the year that we open our doors to multiple different types of partners and solution partners. So it's not something where we're completely closing off to the channel. In fact, we were the one who opened the doors to the channel. So I don't think that it's something where we're saying, like, no, you can't come. But I do want to touch real quick on kind of being our own bank. That has advantages by we have the ability to invest in long-term strategy. We are completely self-sufficient, and we've got plenty of cash in the bank to go do what we need to do. And we have inquiries all the time from lots of different people in the industry, and never know what the future is going to hold. But right now, we've had a lot of success operating as a privately held company.
Yeah. I would say you're all pretty successful if you're sitting up here. I mean, you all share different business philosophies, but
Rob, I want you to know you're officially invited to Kaseya Connect again next year.
all right. So we'll move on to another question before we may have to hug it out up here at the end of this. It's okay. We can do that. All right. So let's say that there's somebody who wants to use your services, your product. What is your support? What does your onboarding look like for somebody who's coming into this brand new? We'll start with you since you're holding the mic.
Okay.
Keep it brief.
Okay. So a new MSP that's bought a tool set from ours, it could be VSA, it could be PSA or BMS platform, maybe rapid fire tool, something like that. Like, how do we onboard them?
Yeah.
So we have an extensive professional service team at Kaseya, and that's where it all starts. So they sign the agreement, then they get put in the queue, and we put a SOW together, and based on the products that they've currently bought, it's very tight.
Mm-hmm.
We do it obviously quite a bit. So we once the SOW is in place, professional service team takes over, and they just start marching through a project plan based on what needs to be turned up, when it needs to be turned up. I was just in a call today with with a customer that they want to go live January 1st. We're not going to start charging them until January 1st, but we're actually going to start the professional service stuff now to make sure that we have everything locked down and ready to roll for their January 1 live date. So it really comes back to the professional services team that we've built to be able to onboard the customers, make sure that they have the technology turned up, ready to go, and they're properly trained on how to leverage it.
Okay.
And then on an ongoing basis, we have something called Kaseya University to take them through different certifications because ultimately when we have MSPs that understand the technology better, they get more out of it, And I always say one of the biggest, I think, issues, I think, for all of us would be that MSPs don't know how to take advantage of a majority of the functionality that exists in our product sets, right? They kind of do surface level, maybe they use 20, 30, 40%, but if they took the time to understand it more and go through all their certifications, it's amazing what they can do. Actually, Barone is a great example of understanding it from A to Z and how much of a difference that makes in their business.
Okay. Brian?
Yeah, I agree 100%. The more that you can invest the time and put the effort back into learning the tools, then the more successful you're going to be. At ConnectWise, we have a bunch of different flavors of implementation depending on the maturity level of your organization. If you're a large partner and you feel that you would like on-site implementation for however long you need somebody there to get it up and running, we'll do that for you. If you're a smaller organization and you want to get it in real quick, and we'll help make that happen via remote sessions and group trainings. ConnectWise University, also a tool that we leverage, exactly like that. And it's the most important part about what we do is the implementation, because that's where you want to make sure that the partner is getting immediate value out of your tool. You want them to see that they made a good decision and that you're demonstrating value quickly, so it's an important part.
Okay.
By the way, when I went through my ConnectWise implementation back in 2004, 2005, Arnie actually came on site to do the implementation.
They've grown a lot since then, that's for sure. For us, obviously, we do the white glove install to help everybody get on board. The key is, once you buy it, you got to start using it and dial it in and do all the right things that are there. But you also mentioned support. For support, I want to expand on that. We do 24/7, 365 support, US-based, all Datto employees in a Datto office. None of it's outsourced. Direct to tech, no IVRs. You literally get a tier 1 tech right on the phone as soon as you call. I've got a 5-second average speed of answer in my tech support, and 97% first call resolution, meaning the tech that answers the phone is the tech that can solve the problem 97% of the time. That's what I take great pride in. And then when you talk about support beyond that, our marketing programs are all designed around helping the MSP go to market with the MSP strategy. Not RMM or BDR or anything like that. We can get specific like that, but we actually have a ton of stuff that actually helps you do that. We have a marketing engine that's run by Matrix in there that we give away for free to our partners to help them, again, generate campaigns and do these kinds of things. I have a wonderful bucket of money through MDF to give you guys to run localized events and help you guys grow your businesses that way. I mean, it's just keeps going and going. We just had hurricanes come through. We just had a hurricane come through southern Florida. We actually have a team down there with devices, with networking gear, setting up Wi-Fi networks and shelters so people have connectivity, giving devices to partners so they can do backups before things go down. Our tech support team are there to actually help them restore. All of it is done for free because we're going to pack it all up and move it back up to Connecticut waiting for the next hurricane. That's the kind of stuff that as a vendor partner we take great pride in.
All right, awesome. Let's have
By
another
the way,
question.
I didn't know ass kissing was a thing. You guys are handsome, really, really handsome today. All of you look great. It's not.
You think that's going to save you?
Bonus points for that?
Who's he sucking up to? All right, Rick, let's go back to you and ask another question.
All right, first off, I want to make an observation of the channel. I'm a little long in the tooth. Been around for a long time. I was a darn fine typewriter repairman before these computers were around, and so I've seen some trends. And everybody here knows that telecom has been subscription-based, and you're heading down that path. And of course, if they say if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. And so you're already on it if you don't know the race to zero in terms of margins for everybody that's selling your stuff. And there are new players in your industry that are coming in, and cycles are going faster and faster, and new things are hitting the market faster and faster. And so what was a great product that could hold a subscription, maybe not tomorrow, because you're going to be up against the guy that says, well, I don't need a contract. I'll bring you on board. We'll go month to month. I'll earn my keep every day, every way. What's your feeling about that? What are you going to do to offset it? And why does somebody continue to hold on to the way you're doing business versus that?
We'll keep it brief.
So I'm actually going to say, and I don't want to speak for these guys, but I'm pretty sure they do the same thing, that we do have month-to-month options. You can consume it month-to-month in our space right now, PSA, RMM, BDR. You can sign a contract and you'll get a better price on it, but we also do have the month-to-month options available for everybody. So you can consume it. What we do, and I know these guys do the same thing, which is we recommend that you sign a contract with us the same way that you would actually sell it. So if you're actually selling it with a 1-year contract, you should probably do a 1-year contract with this stuff. If you're selling it month to month, go month to month with us. So there's those, there's no doubt. Now you talk about, and you're right, technology becomes antiquated. Yesterday's vendors were not tomorrow's vendors, right? But I actually think that we're right on the verge of an explosion in managed services. This is a real thing, and it's only now. We've been doing this forever. I was talking about managed services 10 years ago, and I'd start my presentation with, what is an MSP? We don't have to do that anymore, but that maturity cycle is actually hitting, and it's right now is when it's actually happening. So yes, ConnectWise, Datto, Kaseya, we've all been around 10, 15, whatever years, but this is just the start of everything that we've been preaching for this time. We're now starting to see it actually happen. So for us, I don't look at us as older or antiquated vendors. We actually are right on the verge of when everything's about to happen. So then you start looking 5, 10 years out, what's next? And this is where you actually see, and through acquisitions that we're all making right now, this is where the next generation of what we're doing is. So we invested in SaaS protection. You guys just acquired a SaaS protection because everything's moving to the cloud. When we're talking about BDR, we're doing direct to cloud stuff right now at sub $10 prices. You know, these are all things that we're actually looking at, knowing that in the future, what we're selling today will be antiquated, unimportant, and that includes the way in which you consume it. And I think that's where, from our perspective, and we're all doing it, acquiring, moving forward, coming in with new technologies, helping you guys go to market, commoditizing this stuff is everything that we are all trying to do and kind of really stay relevant from doing it in that perspective.
Yeah, so first of all, we actually don't do month-to-month contracts at Kaseya. We do a minimum of a year. You can buy that in very small increment. So, you can do as many as, 25 agents, if that's what you want to start out with, and then grow from there. And then, like I said, with our PSA is, probably, in most cases, 50% of the costs of, most of the competitors in this space. So from a cost perspective, I think it's really advantageous to do business with us that way. But the reason we do the year contract is because we believe that you should be signing your customers up for at least a year, because that's what's going to drive a better business for you. And then we're going to teach you actually how to go to market and how to take your products to market in a better way. So, and we're making these acquisitions now. Like we just purchased Spanning, last week was announced, because every MSP should be backing up their customers' cloud applications. And if they're not doing that today, then they're missing out on a major revenue opportunity, because 77% of small businesses will lose some sort of data in one of their cloud applications at some point, which is one of the reasons why Datto bought Backupify, years ago. So when I look at the, how easy is it to do business with us based on your growing business? Again, you can buy, small, grow with us, but we're going to teach you how you should ultimately go to market with these products to build a better business for yourself.
So you're talking about the evolution of technology, and it's certainly not going to slow down ever. I think that one of the things that we all have to be wary of is there's 2 guys in the garage right now developing the thing that's going to take us out. And that is what causes us to stay up late at night. It causes us to look at where we're innovating and where we're investing our time and our money. And we do have to make sure that we're continuously aware of that, because things advance at such a quick rate that the only way you're going to be able to keep up with it is if you stay ahead of it. So that's where we're dealing.
As a real quick add-on, the licensing models are going to change just like everything else does as well, right? So you've got the per tech license model versus the per device license model. Is that anywhere in your radar? And does it concern you?
At ConnectWise, we're always trying to understand the ways that our partners are pricing their services and making sure that what we're delivering to you allows you to bring the greatest value to your customer. So understanding how you're doing it, if you're doing, if you're pricing per endpoint, per person, if you're doing, an all-encompassing MSP managed service agreement, we want to make sure that the way that we price our products brings value to you.
Yeah, we're certainly aware of the new pricing models that are out there, but ultimately, we've seen the data, we know what the trends are, and we want to, I'm going to come back to this again, we want to make sure that we're helping you drive more business and more revenue, ultimately more profit, and sometimes that has to come through forcing you into a pricing model or a mechanism that will drive that behavior. So, ultimately, right now we feel really comfortable where we are with the pricing that we have and the model that we have. Now, if something dictates change there, then we'll certainly evaluate that. But right now, we're feeling really good about where we are from a pricing standpoint.
Yes, the pricing stuff is going to evolve. If anything, we'll never increase our prices. Our prices will only ever go down, and go down to the point where, it's just like wildly consumable. But let me take a different angle with this. We're actually this really cool kind of concept. If you think about all the technologies that we do, the SaaS protection, the backup disaster recovery, the RMM, which is all kind of endpoints that are sitting on the actual end user sites, okay? And you put an agent on this device and now you're monitoring it, and then you put it back up and it's backing up these devices and now you're backing them up and all that stuff. The problem with that technology is the way the engineers designed it, it's per device kind of based. Those devices are being used by users, right? What if we could figure out a way, and this is kind of what we're churning around in our head right now, what if we could figure out a way where this device belongs to Joe? And Joe has this device, he's got a mobile device, he's got whatever, right? And he's also this access user on this actual server. What if we actually took a look at Joe as a human being and created a way in which we could actually watch that endpoint as a user and be able to, through all that AI type stuff, we can actually take a look at how he consumes his stuff, find other profiles for other users similar to him that are maybe using similar technology, and even make you a smarter guy when it comes to not the actual device that's in there, but Joe as a user. That's the kind of stuff that we're actually thinking about, and that's where we can actually even kind of play around with the way in which this stuff is priced when you're actually taking a new approach at how you're actually approaching your customers. So there's lots of really cool stuff that we're all doing, and we're all talking every single day internally about these things and how we not only continue to make money, but how do we continue to help the channel make money, but how do we continue to stay relevant as everything changes? And I think you see there's a ton of flexibility in everything that we do in order to help you guys master what it is you do. But Jim also said something really good, which is we also have to push you guys into the right business model, because there's a lot of MSPs that don't necessarily do the right thing and will sell a month-to-month contract, because he's right, you should be signing 1 year. I have the flexibility to give you month-to-month, but you should be selling 1 year. And that's the stuff where we want to push you in those directions.
Yeah, there's some really smart MSPs who don't need that stuff from you guys. Yep. And MSP 2.0 or RMM 2.0 to them is yawn, right? But as long as you evolve and give them what they need, and it might actually come down to unhinging the agent from the other billable services, it will
Totally
change
agree.
over time.
Totally agree.
All right, awesome. I want to make sure that I give the audience enough time to ask questions, and quizzers will come back if there's time. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to ask this gentleman a question? I have a wonderful book bag for you if you ask a question.
Yeah, I'd like to hear from each one of the RMM guys. What would you think each of your competitors do better than you?
What do I think that my competitors do better than me? Okay, so forgive me, because I just got thrown back into the RMM world about a year ago. So I've had great relationships with these guys back until I got jumped into the RMM world again. If we're looking at it specifically from RMM, Kaseya's been around probably the longest. I remember back in my Level Platforms days, Kaseya was kicking my ass left, right, and center. If I ran into a Kaseya shop, I couldn't touch them. They have, from a technology standpoint, been around long enough that they've actually been able to develop a good holistic product. I would love to have a lot of that experience baked into what we're doing today. I'm not saying that it's necessarily better in one way or another, but it's definitely the way they've baked it in over time, just the maturity of that. I wish I actually had that. There are, and again, there are partners that love it. That's the thing. ConnectWise, I think the ConnectWise strength continues to be its community. There's no doubt about it. When I joined Datto 5 years ago, we were a small company, 50 employees maybe, and Austin McCord, our CEO, said to me, I want you to build a ConnectWise-like community. And what we've been able to build over the course of time, and I would suggest that we're probably close to, if not around the same of where ConnectWise is from a partner-based perspective. I'm going to say that my community is very, very strong, and I would put it apples to apples with ConnectWise's community. But 5 years ago, I had nothing, and that is because what I did was I looked at what they were doing, and I kind of brought that into what we're doing today. So I would give product hardening to Kaseya, and I'd give community to ConnectWise.
Yeah, first of all, when you call us the RMM guys, I don't want to be classified as that personally, because I think at this point we've evolved so much more than just becoming an RMM platform. We are a true, I think, MSP platform. It's called the RMM Thunderdome, which I think might be a misnomer. So I just want to put that out there, that I think, all of us would agree that, we do a lot more than RMM, and we are complete platforms, and that's the way that we should be viewed. To answer your question, which is a good one, my answer for both would be the same, and that is community. I think that, as Rob mentioned, from a technology perspective, we're really locked down. But I think that we probably, they throw bigger events than we do, and they've done probably a better job over the years creating a robust community that we're now starting to realize that we should be doing better. And, ultimately, I give Rob a ton of credit for, building the Datto community, because that's he basically built it, I think it's probably the haircut, but, so that what I would say is community.
We'll go 3 for 3. Rob, from the perspective of Datto, I would agree that it's the community that you've built. Bringing the Autotask side into Datto is something that has infused your community even more so, and that's something that you guys do a great job at. And then, Jim, from the Kaseya standpoint, we were a little behind the times with our user interface. I think that that's something that, we had an opportunity to beef up a little bit, and you guys have done a better job at that than we have. So we're catching up now. All the functionality is always there, but it wasn't always that great to look at. So it's a big deal whenever people are working in a platform. So somewhere where you feel, trying to make some strides there.
All right.
Yeah, I've actually noticed that the ConnectWise interface is starting to look more and more like BMS.
Okay. All right. Another question from the audience. Yep. Coming back to you. With a backpack.
Hey guys, great conversation. My name's Carl Connolly, I'm with Ingram, and one of the ways that we make our partners successful is by bringing new technologies into our portfolio. One of those, you mentioned security, is MinerEye. It's a great AI-driven security program from Israel. What in 2018, in your opinion, was a standout technology or direction that really impacted your business and your organizations, and that you see carrying forward into 2019 for your MSPs?
So, for us personally, the big game changer this year in 2018 is definitely the acquisition of Unitrends. First of all, it's enterprise-grade technology. They've been around for almost 30 years. It truly is enterprise-grade disaster recovery and business continuity. It's taken us into, obviously, a whole new space. The opportunity in the backup space is enormous. When we looked at the numbers, the average MSP spends 4 to 5 times more on backup than they do RMM, which I now know why Rob got into backup before RMM. And I've talked to a ton of our MSP customers, and when you talk to them and you look at what the opportunity really is, this can be a forced multiplier for Kaseya in terms of just getting into the space, acquiring a solid, established technology that is tried and true, that beats out a lot of the competitors when we go, head to head with them, including, the likes of Veeam. So for us, definitely the acquisition of Unitrends was probably the biggest deal for us in 2018.
It's funny. I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach. I don't think it's a software or it's a platform. I think it's more of a concept. And along the lines of security is, I think that the end user training has been a significant step forward in 2018 and only starting to scratch the surface. And that's going to have to continue for years and years and years. But if you look at the way that these attacks are getting through, 75% of them are through phishing. And it's the end users who are unfamiliar with an ability to recognize this. There is a huge opportunity for MSPs to bring this into their service offering and make sure that their clients are trained to diagnose these issues, because they're really the first line of defense, right? The MSPs can put all the tools behind it, but if you don't have an end user trained up in a way that they can recognize what's going on, then you're going to run into a huge issue. So it's not really, a solution, but it's something that is extremely important to this industry, and is really going to be what helps keep our clients and their clients protected.
SaaS protection. I'll tell you why. We acquired Backupify back in 2014, which at that time was one of the world leaders with Google Apps Backup. We innovated it and did the Office 365 because 95% of the channel sells Office 365. And yes, it sounds antiquated. We've got organizations like Spanning, who you guys just acquired and stuff, that have been around for years, but it's only now where we're starting to see that maturity within that actual product. And I'll give you a couple different hints on that. So the adoption rate on that is actually massive, because when you start digging in through Microsoft EULA, and I'll give you the talking points if you want it, Microsoft themselves recommends that you actually have some type of external backup. This is where that opportunity for the channel is massive. And for us, we sell it for about $1 a seat. MSPs are selling it for $3, $4, $5 a seat. So there's massive margin that's in there, added to every Office 365 quote you send out. That way you own the data, you own the customer, you can recover faster, restore faster than any time you're going to have to call Microsoft to do that. So for us, that's been kind of the big, from a security angle, big win in 2018. I'll give you one term as well, and if you guys haven't heard it, Google Ransom Cloud. Ransomware has been a significant win in the MSP space, because that is, from a backup perspective, that's kind of your last line of defense when it comes to ransomware. Kevin Mitnick, who is a world-renowned hacker, actually did a presentation in Nashville back in April of this year, where he actually, live in front of the audience, hacked into an Office 365 account and locked it down with his version of ransomware for the cloud he calls Ransom Cloud. If you literally Google it, you can watch Mitnick do it. Mitnick is actually coming to my office in Connecticut tomorrow. I'm driving home first thing in the morning, because we're going to record a little video for MSPs to go and talk about Ransom Cloud to their ultimate end users, because security is scary. And that is why managed services is going to grow, because security is scary. End users don't want to deal with it. They're willing to pay an MSP a premium for it. And when we can talk about things like next generation ransomware, that's going to be a massive win for everybody. But to go back, I think what you're looking for is more so what's next. And we see SOC. I'm seeing SOC vendors everywhere right now. And I think there's something there that these guys are recognizing the channel, first of all, as a go-to-market strategy, but we need to figure out as vendors how we're going to completely commoditize this stuff. Some of our competitors have gotten into that space. We haven't quite done that as of yet, but I think there's some really interesting stuff that's coming down. I just don't quite know where it fits. And the last thing I would say is don't rush into it. Because when we talked and started talking about cloud technology 10 years ago, people went out and bought massive data centers, which are all now aging and dying, and now they're starting to outsource that stuff, because we never expected Amazon and Microsoft to be able to take out our knees on that stuff. I think security is probably the same way. Don't rush out to do anything, but it will start easing in, and we'll start all having better conversations on this stuff.
You have 5 seconds.
Yeah, I'll just say dark web. Dark web, you can walk into any small business and like scare them silly and sell them just about anything based on the results you get from that. So that's, if you're looking for like what's next to sell to your small business customers, dark web right there.
All right. Unfortunately, as much as I would love to do this for the rest of the night, we're out of time. If you didn't get to ask a question of these gentlemen, please feel free to tackle them as they're getting off the stage. I want to thank our panelists, I want to thank our inquisitors, and that is the end of this Thunderdome session. Thank you.
Thank you.